Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranams Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranams. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. I have great pleasure to welcome you all. Please accept my humble obeisances at your lotus feet. We shall continue with Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrt. Before we start, let's have our Mangalacharana prayers. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Gadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyayeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Once again, I have great pleasure to welcome devotees for today's session of Srila Prabhupada's Lilamrt. So now we are in the year 1973, in the month of June. So which means Srila Prabhupada is now 77 years old. Just another 4 years left of his earthly pastimes. Just 4 years to go. 1977 November, he'll be gone. So just 4 years before. And let us see what all he's doing at this age. One thing, very aged. And number two, really close to his death also. But let us see what he's doing. So in this period, he's in Mayapur, goes to Calcutta, London, Paris, and then returns to Bombay. So these pastimes we are now going to see. Such amazing energy, spiritual energy. Actually, Prabhupada is quite weak, but spiritual energy keeps him going. So let us see how it happens. So as we said last time, Srila Prabhupada started writing the Chaitanya Charitamrita 7th chapter, and even as he's writing the 7th chapter, he's getting a lot of inspiration because whatever Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami is saying, it is like attesting the formula that Srila Prabhupada is using, the methodology that Srila Prabhupada is using, the philosophy that Prabhupada is trying to propagate. Everything is getting the stamp of approval from Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So, our Sasrudas Goswami Maharaj also points out these factors by giving some quotations from the chapter 7. How everything confirms what Srila Prabhupada is doing. So last time, I think we discussed about how the Panchatattva plundered the storehouse of love of Godhead, and they ate and distributed the contents. There was no scarcity. The wonderful storehouse is so complete, the storehouse of Krishna Prema, which the Panchatattva have brought from the spiritual world. It is so complete that even as the love is distributed, the supply increases hundreds of times. The flood of love of Godhead swelled up in all directions. Right now, in front of Prabhupada's eyes, this is happening. And it has been written about by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami in the 7th chapter. And thus, young men, old men, women, and children were all immersed in that inundation of Krishna Prema. The Krishna consciousness movement will inundate, this is a prediction, will inundate the entire world and drown everyone, whether one be a gentleman, a rogue, or even lame, invalid, or blind. Kaviraj Goswami, right? When the first 5 members of the Panchatattva saw the entire world drowning in love of Godhead and the seed of material enjoyment in the living entities completely destroyed. I will repeat this again. The seed of material enjoyment which the living entity is carrying, and that is why it has come into this material world. We all carry the seed of material enjoyment. It has to be destroyed. And the seed of serving to Krishna in the mood of servant, that is the seed that we have to get. So the seed of material enjoyment was completely destroyed. When the Panchatattva saw this, they all became exceedingly happy. So the Supreme Lord, the Panchatattva, they are exceedingly happy when the souls, the conditioned souls in this material world, give up the desire for sense enjoyment and they take up the devotional service to the Supreme Lord. They became very happy. The more the 5 members of the Panchatattva caused the rains of love of Godhead to fall, the more the inundation increased and spread all over the world. So this is from the 7th chapter. So this was Srila Prabhupada's spirit. Now Satsuru Maharaj is writing that whatever he has written is actually being demonstrated by Srila Prabhupada. This was Srila Prabhupada's spirit in training young men and women in ISKCON. And he was offering these words of Lord Chaitanya to strengthen all the Lord's devotees. The members of Krishna conscious movement should be confident that by preaching purely, they would meet with success. We should preach purely. That's what is required. We may not be pure as yet. Honestly, I can say I am not pure, right? We are not pure, but we should preach purely, meaning we should not preach for puja, labha, pratishtha, dhanam, janam, sundarim, kavitam. All these desires we should not carry. Our desire should be to distribute the knowledge that Srila Prabhupada has given us in the same form to the population of this present time world. Purely, we have to just repeat what we have heard in a spirit of humility, with our own realizations, But we should not have any hidden motives in our preaching activities to say, oh, these are my disciples, these are my devotees. I cultivated them, so they belong to me. I will only preach them. They should not hear other people speak. That kind of mood is false ego. Then our preaching is no longer pure. So we should preach what Srila Prabhupada has taught us with a pure motive, without any selfishness. Then we are competent to preach. It is not that we have to first become purified and then preach. That is not required. with all our misgivings. On the one side, we are struggling to purify ourselves, but on the other side, we are giving the pure teachings to the world. This is how the mission will spread. So that's what Sasru Maharaj is writing. The members should be confident that by preaching purely, they would meet with success. Prabhupada was confident. Here were the words of Shastra, words spoken by the Supreme Person, and Prabhupada's personal experience also confirmed this. So Prabhupada is writing where? 7th chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita. What does he write? Listen carefully. Our Krishna consciousness movement was started single-handedly, and no one provided for our livelihood. Prabhupada is writing. But at present, we are spending hundreds and thousands of dollars all over the world, and the movement is increasing more and more. Although jealous persons may be envious, if we stick to our principles and follow the footsteps of the Panchatattva, the movement will go on unchecked by imitation swamis, sannyasis, religionists. We are not religionists, mind you. ISKCON is not a religion. Religion is philosophers. We are not philosophers, right? Or scientists. We are scientists, but we are spiritual scientists. For it is transcendental to all material considerations. Therefore, those who propagate the Krishna conscious movement should not be afraid of such rascals and fools. Prabhupada is writing. So, the verses in the 7th chapter of CC described a worldwide inundation of Krishna consciousness. Thus, the objections that Europeans and Americans cannot become Brahmanas or sannyasis will be swept away as Lord Chaitanya's mercy flooded the entire world. Chaitanya's mercy will flood the entire world, and what will disappear? These misgivings that how can you make Europeans and Americans into Brahmanas? They are Milechas, they are Yavanas, they are meat eaters, they are beef eaters, they are cow killers. They break all regulative principles. So they don't pronounce your mantras properly. They don't even chant Hare Krishna properly. All these objections will be swept away in the flood of love of Krishna. Right? So the words of Krishnadas Kaviraj intensified the desire of Prabhupada to base his worldwide movement in the land where Lord Chaitanya appeared and began his Sankirtana movement. So all the more Srila Prabhupada wants Mayapur should be the headquarters so that we can tap into the full mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. See, Panchatattva began in Navadvip, and from here, so Panchatattva began in Navadvip, and from here, ISKCON is creating the waves of love of Godhead, and it is swelling all over the world, outwardly. In Sriram Mayapur, Prabhupada is writing, sometimes a great flood comes after the rainy season. This is an indication that from the birthplace of Lord Chaitanya, the inundation of love of Godhead should spread all over the world. For this will help everyone, including old men, young men, women, and children. The Krishna conscious movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so powerful that it can inundate the entire world and can create interest in all classes of men in the subject of love of Godhead. So like that, in the 7th chapter, so many confirmations are coming that Srila Prabhupada and the movement are on the right track. Okay, now we come to June 27, 1973. From Mayapur, Srila Prabhupada went to Calcutta and he wrote a letter to Tamal Krishna Maharaj saying, Shyam Sundar Prabhu is writing to me from London that I should come there. He says, I can meet very important men there in the new house given by George Harrison. You all will remember George Harrison is a key singer, player in the Beatles pop group, and he's a very serious devotee of Srila Prabhupada. He is already helping us quite a lot. So he wants that he has now donated a house. Now it is named as Bhakti Vedanta Manor. So he wants Prabhupada to come and stay there. So such as Shyam Sundar is writing that Prabhupada should come there. But I want to make some definite settlement of Bombay affairs before I return to Europe or America. If there is a suitable place for me to stay in Bombay for a few days, I can go there immediately, and from there I may go to London. But Bombay, there is not much progress. So Prabhupada is preparing his itinerary, and he spent some days in Calcutta temple, the first temple of Prabhupada in India, that is Calcutta, Albert Road. He was freely allowing people to meet him. People were coming and meeting him regularly, and he was preaching Krishna consciousness to all these people. And his sister called Bhavatarini, her name is Bhavatarini, but she is called as Pishima by the disciples of Srila Prabhupada. Prabhupada has told them, you call her as your Pishima. I think it is aunt like that. So she would come to ISKCON temple to see her beloved brother. And whenever she comes, she will cook for him. Till that time, Prabhupada's disciples are cooking, but whenever she comes, she will take over the kitchen and she will cook very lovingly for Prabhupada. One day, however, she made kachoris for Prabhupada. And after eating these kachoris, a few hours later, Prabhupada had sharp pains in the stomach. He went to bed. He closed the doors. He could not meet anybody. He went to bed. And the followers became very worried about his condition. At that time, his servant was Srutakirti Prabhu. And he went to Prabhupada's room and he found Prabhupada was turning in the bed, left and right, holding his stomach. So he asked, what is wrong, Srila Prabhupada? He said, my stomach. The coconut kachori that my sister made, it was not cooked properly. Because of that, I am having this pain. So there were seizures all over the night. Prabhupada was clutching his stomach and rolling. And many devotees were massaging him continuously, especially in his stomach portion, they were massaging. But every breathing, he would moan with pain. And Pishima was standing there. And Prabhupada's disciples were very worried because Pishima will come with some other remedy now. She will prepare something and say, this is the remedy. So they want her to go out of the room, but she is there. Okay, because she knows what her brother loves to eat and she loves to cook for him. This is their relationship actually. So Prabhupada then asked the disciples, the Narasimha picture which is hanging on the wall, you bring it down and put it next to my bed, the Narasimha picture. And devotees were afraid that Prabhupada may be close to leaving his body also. The next morning, the disease continued and they brought the Ayurvedic Vaidya. He gave some medicine. That with that medicine also, he was not getting better. No effect. And the next day also went like that. And Prabhupada called Bhavananda Maharaj to his room and he said, make fried puris with little patal. Bengali, devotees will know patal. Some patal and fried puris he wanted to be made, patal sabji and fried puris with some salt. Bhavananda Prabhu said, no, I cannot make it. He protested. How would this is going to worsen your disease? You are already suffering. But Prabhupada said, no, this is the remedy for my disease. It's a blood dysentery. Prabhupada said, blood dysentery. And my mother used to give it to me when I was a child. So you make it. So he was not going to make it. So he called his sister, Bhavatarini. And he said, you make it. So she made that, puris and patala sabji. And few hours after taking this food, Prabhupada again called Bhavananda and said, I am feeling better. My mother was right. He was telling. So then, again from Shyamsundar Prabhu in London, one long letter had come. Again he's saying, excellent preaching opportunities, all exaggerated claims. Excellent preaching opportunities are waiting Prabhupada in London. You will be picked up at the airport by helicopter. The days are gone when Prabhupada used to travel by a cargo ship. Now Prabhupada will fly to London and after he lands there in the airport, a helicopter will come to pick him up to Bhaktivedanta Manor. So he said, we have arranged like that. To the main event. What is the main event? The greatest Rath Yatra. Now it is Rath Yatra. This is not the manor. This is in the city. Rath Yatra is going to happen. Greatest Rath Yatra. The parade would proceed down Piccadilly Lane. If you know London, this is practically central London. In Chennai today, you can forget about having a Rath Yatra. The government is putting so many restrictions. The popular roads where a lot of traffic will be there, they will never give you permission. But in 1973, in London, the most famous city in the world, right in the central part of that London, they give permission. This is the power of Shyam Sundar Prabhu's devotion. So Piccadilly Lane, and from Piccadilly Lane, it will finally end at Trafalgar Square, where you have the Nelson column and all that. Under that, the Rath will finally stop. And at that place also, they had put up huge pandals and all that at Trafalgar Square. So like this, they have planned. So in the telegram, Shyam Sundar Prabhu has written, millions of Englishmen, clearly exaggeration, including certain very, very important people, are eager to see Srila Prabhupada. And arrangements are being made now that the Queen's eldest son, Prince Charles, will meet Prabhupada and talk about Krishna consciousness. These are all the arrangements. So Prabhupada is, some of the promises were exaggerated. Srila Prabhupada knew, but his desire to preach again in England was strong. George Harrison had given the devotees a large estate, 45 minutes outside of London. And Prabhupada spoke of going there and installing deities of Radha and Krishna on Janmashtami day. Already we have Radha Krishna deities. Now this is a second set of Radha Krishna deities. Yet even now, over a month before Janmashtami, he was feeling deeply affected by Shyam Sundar's invitation. Now Janmashtami is going to come. Instead of trying to celebrate it in Calcutta or Mayapur in India, he wants to go to London to celebrate. So he called the GBC secretaries. He asked them, what shall I do? They said, no, Prabhupada, your health is still not quite normal. You can better go to America and go to places like Los Angeles or Hawaii for your recuperation. Let your health get better. We can postpone the preaching for some time. But Prabhupada decided, no, I will go to London. And not for recuperation, but for preaching. So Prabhupada said, let me strike while the iron is hot. I think that is an English proverb. If you do that, then you can keep the iron in shape. In the West, people are fed up. So we want to give them spiritual enlightenment. So Prabhupada somehow convinced his disciples with his forceful presentation. And he said, carefully listen, there are two misleading theories in the West. What are the two theories? One is that life comes from matter, right? And the other is that there is no life after death. So please note, this is the place where we have to pick up our preaching activities. Two things. One, they believe only matter is real. Only matter is real, Big Bang, and it's all matter. And somehow, when chemicals combine, life has come out. That is only temporary. That is one belief. Second belief is, after you die, nothing, finished everything. So these are the two things they are having. That there is no life after death. You can just enjoy this life. They say everything is matter. So as our movement grows, the communists will be curbed. People say they are trying for unity, but they have no brains to see how to achieve unity. They have formed a big, complicated League of Nations after the First World War and United Nations after the Second World War. But they have all failed. But the simple method of Rath Yatra all over the world is spreading. Prabhupada is personally conducting Rath Yatras all over the world. Now it is happening in London also. Jagannatha means Lord of the universe. So Lord Jagannath is now international God through our ISKCON. Therefore, I want to go to the West and give them these things. So although Prabhupada appeared physically unfit, he immediately flew to London. And the disciples were waiting there. And the disciples in Calcutta, they thought this is another miracle only. In this condition, somehow Prabhupada is flying to London. So now it is London, July 1973. So now I am going to just read out the recollections of some of the Prabhupada disciples who were there at the time of the Rath Yatra. Their exuberant feelings, what they felt at the time of Rath Yatra, looking at Srila Prabhupada, looking at the crowds, and looking at the response. what they felt. I'm just going to read out for you. First, Paravida Prabhu. It was Rath Yatra day. I saw Prabhupada coming into the temple and he did not look very strong. I was really amazed, but I could understand that his strength was something spiritual. So Prabhupada is weak at that time. Please note, this is on the Rath Yatra day, morning. Prabhupada comes into the temple and he is very weak physically. Devotees could see that. Dhruvanatha, at the parade side, now they have gone to parade side. We were waiting to receive Srila Prabhupada at Marble Arch, where the procession starts. The Vyasasan was nicely decorated, and everybody was expecting Prabhupada to simply sit in the Vyasasan. And where is the Vyasasan? It is on the chariot. You know where the deity of Srila Prabhupada is kept. That is where Prabhupada actually used to sit in the Rath. So Prabhupada will sit in the Vyasasan, and behind him the deities will be there. And the devotees will pull the Rath. They will have Kirtan. Kirtan party also will sit on the Rath. And through speakers, the music will be relayed to the people, and devotees will dance on the road. Like that, the procession will go. This is the plan. So, simply Prabhupada should sit on the Vyasasan on the cart and just ride through the streets, just as he had done in the other Rath Yatras. So, it was to our great amazement and joy that when Prabhupada came, he refused to sit on the Vyasasan. He indicated that he would dance and lead the procession. 77-year-old man who has just been seriously ill, just on the road to recovery, not fully fit, 4 years away from his death, and he wants to dance in front of the Rath Yatra and lead the procession. Now, Yogeshwar, another devotee, is telling, they brought stairs up so Prabhupada could mount the Ratha cart. They brought the staircase also, asking Prabhupada, please climb and you can go and sit on your Vyasasan. But Prabhupada waved them off and just started walking. Prabhupada did not say anything, just, I don't want. And he went in front of the chariots, leading the dancing. Veera Shanta, another devotee. I twisted my ankle and could not walk, right? So I rode on the cart. So this devotee is getting a view from the cart. He is seeing Prabhupada by sitting on the Rath Yatra cart. Therefore, I could see Prabhupada very clearly. Revatinandan Maharaj was chanting into the microphone from the cart. Maharaj is sitting again on the cart and is playing kirtan. He is singing. But after about 15 minutes of the procession, Prabhupada is walking in front. Prabhupada told the devotees to tell Revatinandan Maharaj and others, the kirtan party on the Ratha cart, to come down and lead the kirtan in the street with him. So Prabhupada is dancing. He wants singers. So he brought them down from the chariot. Now, Revatinandan Maharaj is telling, when Prabhupada saw his Vyasasan on the cart, he said, no, I am just a devotee. I will go in the procession. We had a big, great kirtan. Hamsadutta led, I led, Shyam Sundar led, different devotees traded off. One after the other, one devotee would sing for some time, hand over to another devotee, hand over, like that it was going. Leading this fantastic kirtan. And Prabhupada was right in the middle of the kirtan with his karatals. Prabhupada is playing karatal the whole time. Lead singers are changing. But Prabhupada is playing karatal and dancing continuously. No change. He's there all the time. He was dancing back and forth. He's not just moving forward. He's going ahead of the Rath for some time. Then he comes back. Again, he goes forward. Like that, he's moving. And he was not just singing. He was jumping up and down and dancing. Prabhupada was doing. And Rohini Nandan Prabhu is telling, the cart was going quite slowly. Prabhupada walked about 20-30 yards ahead of the cart, leading the procession right in front. Meanwhile, the kirtan was coming from a Ratha cart through microphones. Prabhupada called them all down and he got them all around himself and they were chanting Hare Krishna. Ever so often, Prabhupada would turn around and raise both his arms very majestically in the air and say, Jai Jagannath. He's singing and dancing in front. Now he will turn and see the deities on the Rath and he will raise both his hands and say, Jai Jagannath. Immediately what devotees will do, they will clear the way so that Prabhupada can get a direct view of the deities. and the whole path will be cleared by the devotees. Then again, Prabhupada will turn and he will start singing like that. Ever so often, right? Sometimes we would get a little further ahead. Sometimes Prabhupada would go even further ahead of the Rath Yatra. Then when he turns around, he'll see, oh, Rath is behind. Then Prabhupada would come all the way back. He would wait for or sometimes he would wait for the car to come. Sometimes he was dancing, and sometimes he would stand, raising his hands in the air. Then one Mataji is telling, Sharadiya Das, Prabhupada would dance, and then after a few feet, he would turn around and look at the deities with his arms raised. Then he would dance for a few moments, meditating on the deities, and then he would turn around and go on like this. In this way, he danced the entire way. The devotees held hands in a circle around him to protect him from the crowd. Like when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced in Jagannath Puri, the devotees would form a ring around him, like that. They made a ring around Srila Prabhupada. It was a wonderful transcendental affair. Prabhupada was looking up at the deities, and all the devotees were behind him and looking at Prabhupada as well as the deities. How they are exchanging love that the devotees were seeing from behind. Another devotee speaks, Sudurjaya. Prabhupada surprised us. We did not know if he was sick or actually not sick, feeling weak and dizzy or not. Sometimes he looked very ill, and sometimes he looked like an 18-year-old boy. He surprised us. He had his cane in his hand, walking stick he is having, but where is the walking stick? It has gone up. His hand is up, and the walking stick is facing the sky, not the ground. So along with the walking stick, he is raising his hand. After a while, Shyam Sundar came up to me, to Sudurjay Prabhu, and said, listen, he is not going to make it. Prabhupada is very ill. I want you to follow in a car. Be within 30 seconds reach, so we can put Prabhupada in the car immediately. So everybody is thinking anytime Prabhupada is going to collapse, and we have to put him in the car and take him away. Right? It's like an emergency. You cannot stop Prabhupada. You cannot tell Prabhupada, enough, you are not feeling good. We want to put you in the car. Let us leave this place. Enough is enough. Nobody can say like that. And Prabhupada is dancing. So they are ready with the car to pick him up at short notice. Prabhupada was going down Park Lane, and from time to time he would turn back and raise his hands. He was going so fast. Sometimes Prabhupada was going so fast that they could not pull the cart fast enough to keep pace with him. He would have to wait for the car to catch up. He would turn back, raise his hands, and say, Hari Bol. Several times he did this. He was going so fast that he had to wait. The devotees were dancing, weather was beautiful, and the crowd was wonderful. Now, Dhruvanatha is again speaking. The passers-by, the general public of London, they are seeing this, and they could not move. Wherever they were standing, they just stood there and looked at the scene of Srila Prabhupada, the 77-year-old man dancing in front of the car, and so many young boys surrounding him, and they're all dancing, and Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra coming in the Rath. It was too much for them to digest. They became rooted, looking at Prabhupada. A man of that age, simply dancing and jumping in the air like a young boy, was the most amazing sight. And then, every 5 minutes or so, Prabhupada would turn around and look toward Jagannath. The devotees would clear the way that no one should block his sight. And he had a perfect view of the deities. But after a while, the police came. Now you see, after a while, the police came and mentioned that we could not keep stopping the Rath like this. We had to keep the whole thing going because the traffic jams were becoming critical. This is the heart of London. Devotees were crying and chanting and dancing, and there was so much commotion. Shrutakirti Prabhu, Prabhupada's secretary, is saying this. When Prabhupada was dancing, the bobbies, the London police, the bobbies kept on coming up and looking for someone official. The bobbies are coming into the crowd and saying, who is in charge? Prabhupada is dancing, he's an old man. And there are all these young boys, they're all dancing. Who is really in charge? They want to speak to that person urgently. It's an emergency. The traffic is getting held up. So they all came. They were looking for someone official. Finally, they came to Shrutakirti and said, you will have to tell your leader to sit down. He is causing too much of disturbance. Everyone is becoming wild and we cannot control the crowd. So I said, Sudhakirti, all right. But I did not say anything to Prabhupada. He kept quiet. He agreed with the police, but he did not say. So then they came again to me and said, you must tell him he will have to sit down. So I said, all right. And I tapped the Prabhupada. The whole time he had been in ecstasy, dancing before the cart and encouraging everyone to dance. He would motion with his hands and encourage the devotees to keep dancing. He kept the momentum of the festival. So I said, Prabhupada, the policemen want you to sit down. They say you are creating havoc in the parade. Prabhupada looked at me and turned away and kept on. He completely ignored it and kept on dancing. And the police could not do anything. Prabhupada would not stop and the police would not say anything to him. They never went to him directly to stop. They only were talking to others and requesting them, please stop your master. But they never went to Prabhupada. So another devotee, Paravida, he's again speaking. I was distributing back-to-guarded magazines during the whole parade route. I was exhausted and I was having a lot of trouble keeping up with the procession. But Prabhupada was just there and dancing like a young boy. I was amazed at his spiritual energy. Dhruvana, when we came to Piccadilly Circus, another major road junction, right? Piccadilly Circus, Prabhupada suddenly stopped the whole procession in Piccadilly Circus. Remember, Piccadilly Circus, of course, was just packed with people. Even without the Rath Yatra, that place is packed. Yeah. For about 3 minutes, Prabhupada stopped the procession and just danced and danced with the devotees all around him. Rohini number. When we got to Piccadilly Circus, Prabhupada really started to dance. More than half the Rath Yatra over, Prabhupada is dancing with greatest vigor. He was leaping off the ground. Prabhupada is flying in the air. The car was stopped. It was very similar, actually, to the description in Chaitanya Charitamrita of how Lord Chaitanya would lead the Rath Yatra. Rath has stopped and Prabhupada is dancing. So the cart was stopped and then Prabhupada would wait for it to catch up. Then again, the Rath will start moving. So Yogeshwara, finally we arrived at Trafalgar Square and Prabhupada saw the big tent and other arrangements the devotees had made. He held up his hands again. He had been dancing and walking the entire route of the parade. For hours, he had been walking and dancing all the way from Hyde Park to Trafalgar Square. Rohini Nandan, when Prabhupada got to Trafalgar Square, he immediately sat down on the plinth of Nelson's column on a little Vyasasan. There was a Vyasasan just below the Nelson column on the steps. And Prabhupada delivered a lecture. After dancing and walking and jumping all the time, he immediately gives a lecture about the holy name of Krishna. This was directly after the marathon of chanting and dancing. The next day, papers carried a very favorable report of the festival, and Prabhupada wrote about it to the disciples in Los Angeles. The Daily Guardian newspaper had a picture on the front page of our Rath Yatra cart and stated that we were a competition to the monument in memory of Lord Nelson in Trafalgar Square. My health is good and I am taking daily walk and speaking at the class in the morning. So Prabhupada is very happy. So then Prabhupada goes to Bhaktivedanta Manor, the place donated by George Harrison. And as Shyam Sundar had promised, daily some prominent visitors would come, either the Christian priests and major Christian leaders, political leaders, philosophers. He would bring them one after the other. Prabhupada was happy about the manor. It was a clean estate. There was a lake there, nice walkways, everything. Prabhupada said, you should get some cows and you should create some grazing area and some farming area also. Prabhupada wanted, because this is now ISKCON's property. He has donated it to ISKCON. So although the devotees had not been living in the manor for a long time, and they had not improved the place much, but Prabhupada said, in this one place, you should construct a 30-story temple. Prabhupada's plan is a 30-story temple, the grandest building in all of London. That is Prabhupada telling them in 1972. He proposed that he will stay there for 2 months and install Radha-Krishna deities on Janmashtami day. He would also oversee the construction of the temple room. So every morning, Prabhupada would go for a morning walk. Everybody could join him. There was no restriction. Anyone can go with him. And Prabhupada said, oh, this place reminds me of Vrindavan. So Prabhupada would walk down a particular road. This place is not very familiar to me. Lechmore Heath and the manor. A local policeman had become friends. And every time Prabhupada goes, he would salute Srila Prabhupada. Every morning when Prabhupada walks that side, they become so familiar. And Shyam Sundar kept on bringing visitors to meet Srila Prabhupada. Scholars, priests, philosophers, even celebrities would come and spend a couple of hours with Srila Prabhupada. And Prabhupada is very eager to do this also. As the greatest world leader of Vaishnava Parampara and philosopher of Gita and Bhagavatam, and who had thoroughly realized the conclusions of the scripture, he was experienced in countering all challenges and atheistic philosophies and knew what the Christians and Mayavadis and atheists will speak, and he knew how to defeat them. So when somebody mentions a philosopher's name, Prabhupada doesn't know him, he will simply say, what is his philosophy? And when the philosophy is said, he will defeat the philosophy. And Prabhupada told Shrutikirti Prabhu, this is a trick. What is a trick? Sometimes people love some philosopher very much, and they don't want that person to be criticized. Like you say in India, for example, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Vivekananda. You cannot criticize them. No? They are like God for most of the people. You cannot directly criticize them. So when somebody comes up with a popular name among the community, Prabhupada will say, who is that person? He will not say. He will act as though he doesn't know. He'll say, what is his philosophy? He will make the audience explain the philosophy of that person. And Prabhupada would defeat the philosophy. In this way, you are not causing offense to the person concerned. You are not directly saying, oh, this person has a wrong philosophy. So Prabhupada taught Shrutikirti Prabhu also. This is one nice way. Wherever you go, they will have their own local famous philosophers and, saintly persons and all that. So you say, I don't know this person. Can you tell me his philosophy? And when the philosophy is said, you can comprehensively defeat the philosophy. People will not feel bad. It's philosophy versus philosophy. It's not person versus person. You understand, no? It's a nice way of dealing. So Prabhupada did that. And Prabhupada would perfectly present his case and completely defeat the opposing case. While discussing, you will say, okay, this much we accept, this we don't accept. Even that Prabhupada will say, if you have that book with you, there is one small book that was actually conversation between Shyam Sundar Prabhu and Srila Prabhupada at a particular time. I think it happened in Russia when Prabhupada had no other work. He would speak the philosophy and Prabhupada would comment upon the philosophy. So he will say, up to this point we agree, but beyond this we don't agree. Like that Prabhupada would comment. And Prabhupada was always eager to glorify Krishna and repeat his message, even though he has done it many, many times before, but every time he was completely enthusiastic to speak Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam. And he would give the same message everywhere. And Prabhupada said, I am like a cow. You put him in India or America or England, I will give the same nectarian milk of Bhagavad Gita, wherever you take me. So Prabhupada's entire day was spent, first of all, in translation, Chaitanya Charitamrita, morning walk, Bhagavad Gita class, talking with the guests, mostly on philosophy. Then one time in Scotland, one man challenged Srila Prabhupada that you cannot present God through philosophy only, And Prabhupada told him, do you think I should tell you some fairy tales? Philosophy is important for you to know about God, like that Prabhupada. Philosophy is necessary because intelligent people, they have so many intellectual doubts and they must be cleared, like the Prabhupada said. And not only that, Prabhupada said, discussing Krishna philosophically, it is a demonstration of love, actually. trying to understand Krishna and share him is a sign of love. He was moved by compassion to the sufferings of other people, and Prabhupada always spoke the message of Krishna to bring them out of their suffering. He genuinely was angered by atheistic philosophers who mislead the people, because materialistic and impersonal philosophers ruined a person's chance of finding the solution to the sufferings of life. If you are unfortunate to be carried away by an impersonalist mental speculator philosophy, your life suffering cannot be removed. Only by taking to the path of bhakti, sufferings are kleshagni shubhada. The first two symptoms of devotional service, which starts immediately after you coming to the devotional service, is kleshagni. Your sufferings of life are mitigated, and shubhada, auspiciousness, starts with. So Prabhupada said, whenever Prabhupada heard someone talking Mayavad philosophy, he would become like fire. He could not tolerate. Why? Because this would destroy the people. If somebody propagates this philosophy and people get attracted to it, their spiritual life is ruined. Material life is also ruined, because they cannot be saved from suffering. So when, after one of Prabhupada's lectures at the manor, one boy, he said, I heard someone say that chanting Hare Krishna is a little bit of bluff. Someone told, Hare Krishna is just a meaningless chant. It's a bluff, just to concentrate your mind like that. So this boy asked, Prabhupada immediately said, who says bluff? Who is that fool? Who is that rascal? So like that, Prabhupada is ready to fight the atheist to glorify Krishna. These were Prabhupada's natural drives. Therefore, he could go on and on without stopping. And one time, an economist visited Prabhupada, and another time, one philosopher called Alfred Ayer, he had taken an appointment to visit. And Shamsundar Prabhu said, he's a well-known person. And what is his philosophy? Well, he doesn't believe in existence of God. They are now preparing for the meeting. And Prabhupada said, oh, he says like that? I will give him evidence. I will ask him what he means by the existence of God. I will ask him to make a list of the deficiencies of God's existence. See how logically Prabhupada is proceeding. Not just sentiment, scientifically. I will ask him to make a list of reasons why you think God's existence is deficient. Prabhupada liked to meet with philosophical men, corner them and defeat them, all to glorify Krishna. And another historian, Arnold Toynbee, in fact, when I studied history in my intermediate days, I used to have books of Arnold Toynbee. In fact, he has also translated Bhagavad Gita into English in poetry form. It's called The Song of God. Right? And he was by this time very old when Prabhupada went. So Prabhupada went to him to meet him in his residence. Very famous historian, philosopher, everything. He was very much interested in India, the Oriental philosophy. So they discussed, and he discussed about life after death with Prabhupada, about karma. And he said, people are afraid of death. Prabhupada agreed. And Prabhupada added that, according to a certain astrologer, one famous leader, political leader of India, had taken birth as a dog. One famous astrologer told, this is in the year 1973. So you can imagine who died. Became a dog. So they are afraid that they will go down. So famous people, popular people, wealthy people, they are afraid of death. And more than that, what will they become after it? When Toynbee asked if karma can be changed, Prabhupada replied, what could have been Prabhupada's reply? Audience, please tell me, devotees. Toynbee asks, can karma be changed? What did
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Yes, Prabhuji, karma be changed by a purification by devotional service, Prabhuji.
Thank you.
Hare
See,
Krishna Prabhuji.
confidence Prabhupada was given. Otherwise, we would never have thought karma can be changed. Karma is an inviolable law. Nobody can escape it. Maya Adhyakshena Suyate Sacharacha. Vetananena Kaunteya Jagadvidu. Material energy is like a machine. It is controlled by a law. That is a law of karma. Who can stop it? It's like a huge juggernaut. Who can stop the juggernaut? No, juggernaut is actually Jagannath. The Ratha Yatra is coming up. So the karma, the action of karma is like a juggernaut. It will simply crush you on the way. That's all. Who can stop it? So, but now Prabhupada has given us a confidence. Now with Prabhupada's confidence, we can say yes. And Prabhupada said yes. But only by bhakti, devotion to God. So time we said, not many people in the West are thinking of this. Prabhupada said, they are not intelligent. They are less intelligent. It's not good. If they take to Krishna consciousness, they can continue to work and live in the city, but they can change their consciousness. Then automatically everything will come. So Srila Prabhupada asked, try and be. Okay, others are not very well. Prabhupada mentioned that Vedic culture was once all over the world. Gradually, a new type of culture, just like partition of India and Pakistan, the culture has slowly changed in the rest of the world. Like he was telling Painvi, I am writing a book on Greece, the ancient history of Greece. Prabhupada said the Greeks have come from India only. Like that Prabhupada is explaining. Actually, if you read Srimad Bhagavatam, it is all that. The Yavanas. The Yavanas are actually the sons of, one of the sons of Yayati. Yayati divided the world among his 7 sons. And one son he gave Greece. And the Yavanas are the worst kind of people. So he got that land to rule over. Prabhupada explained, this is interesting, just listen to me. Prabhupada then explained to Thayanbi how the future governments would fall to rascals and thieves. That means governments will be run by rascals and thieves only. Already happening, correct? Whose only business will be to exploit the citizens. You will be electing them, but they are rascals and thieves, but you will vote for them. And then they will exploit you back. They will not think, oh, you only voted for me, so they are there only to exploit. Food will be scarce. Governments will levy so many taxes, people will be harassed, and they will go to the forest for shelter. They will give up home, family life, they will run to forest. Only the God-conscious people will be free. The future will be an ocean of faults, but with one saving factor. Anyone knows this shloka? Has anyone heard this shloka, what Prabhupada is mentioning? Kali Yuga is a ocean of faults. Anyone heard this?
Yes, Prabhuji. Prayena Alpayusha Sabya. That one, Prabhuji.
There are many shlokas. This particular one is about Khaler Dosha Nide Rajan Asti Eko Mahan Guna Kirtanad Eva Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Rajet. This is a ocean of faults, Kali Yuga, but it has one good quality. Just by doing Krishna Kirtan, you will be detached from all your material, attachments, and then you will go back to the spiritual world just by chanting. That is the one perfect good quality of Kali Yuga. So, saintly people worship the Kali Yuga because it was never so easy. Simply by chanting Krishna's names, one could be free. Even now, Prabhupada said, the hippies were going to the forest and men were separating from wives and money, and they are going to hills and forests in disappointment. So he can predict the future in this way. Then Arnold Toynbee asked one more question. What about the Indian politicians? Do they keep the Vedas? Yeah, they keep the Vedas to burn them in the street. What Prabhupada is replying? Prabhupada says, no, they threw them away. Present Indian politicians are not very satisfied with the Vedas. They threw them in the water. Prabhupada says, we see them throwing in fire. I have started among the Indians and Americans, and for the next 10,000 years, Krishna consciousness will increase, Prabhupada is saying. Next 10,000 years. Then there will be a gloomy picture of Kali Yuga. Please note this. Etch it in your heart. Write it with fire in your heart that you will never forget this. I am reading again. For the next 10,000 years, Krishna consciousness will increase. Then there will be a gloomy picture of Kali Yuga. 10,000 years is not a short time. It is our duty on behalf of Krishna that these 10,000 years, ISKCON should somehow save as many souls as possible. After 10,000 years, no more salvation is possible. They will simply become animals, that's all. Karna Time asked Prabhupada, do you travel much? Prabhupada said, all over the world. Like that. Okay. Then there are a lot of discussions about meat eating. Okay, I will read some of them. One young priest with a beard, actively in social service, he came to Prabhupada. And after Prabhupada asked him, he debated about meat eating and the Bible. From the Bible, he spoke. And Prabhupada asked his two disciples, Hamsadutta and Pradyumna. And they were also quoting passages from the same Bible against meat eating. Later on, the priest left after this debate. Then Prabhupada called them and said, his disciples, and said, it is not very good for us to speak from Bible. Better you stick to Gita. Why bother to approach them for a compromise? Why you want to convince them from their scriptures? Because we don't know how their scriptures are organized, how much truth is there, how many untruth is there, who wrote it. So Prabhupada said, better we stick to Gita. Why bother to approach them for a compromise or cooperation? They will never be convinced. You speak Gita. At least let them understand, if you have a book, I have a book too. How can you say your book is the best and my book is not the best? Let us speak from the books. I will speak from Gita, you speak from Bible. Is it not? That's a better way. Prabhupada is saying that. What is the point of meeting with the Pope? Prabhupada said. Those inclined to meat eating, Prabhupada said, will always find some quote in the Bible, such as the covenant with Noah after the flood. After the flood, there was no food, no crops. So the God made an agreement with Noah, who saved the world in a boat, just like our Satyavrata Maharaj, Priyavrata, like that. So in this case, so they quote that. See, the God made a covenant with Noah, so we can eat like that. So we do not even know what ghastly things are happening in the slaughterhouses, Prabhupada said. No one sees these things. It is true. If you know, this is completely access barred. The slaughterhouses in the USA, for the general public, the access is barred. No camera can be taken inside, right? And no press reporters can write about it. Okay. So Prabhupada says, very true. What ghastly things are occurring in the slaughterhouse? No one sees these things. Only the neatly packaged meat you will see in the shelf, in the cooled spaces in the supermarkets. Very nicely presented, very attractively packaged. But how much horror is behind that is not known, right? My God, what all they peel the skin, and they take the flesh inside, and they grind it nicely, and they, like you pour metal and make various shapes, casting, like that the meat, they make it into various shapes. They're getting into so much of sin. So next morning, Prabhupada morning walk, they continued this conversation. Prabhupada said, in the name of religion, they are killing. Bhagavatam says, this cheating religion is kicked out. In the name of religion, you cannot kill. So Prabhupada says, this Bhagavatam says, this cheating religion is kicked out. And simply worship of God is instilled. Devotee says, the priest last night said that Jesus ate meat. Okay, anyway, we will skip this. So Prabhupada says, the priest said that the Bible does not say you shall not kill, but you shall not murder. This is the way they argue. Okay. So Prabhupada says, the person told, the priest told Prabhupada, this commandment you are quoting wrongly. This commandment says, thou shall not murder. It's not that thou shall not kill. See Prabhupada's response. What would be your response if somebody says like this? First of all, let us find out what we will say. Then we will hear what Prabhupada says. Anyone? The Christian argues that the commandment is not thou shalt not kill. It's actually thou shalt not murder. How you will react?
Hare
This-
Krishna, Prabhuji. Prabhuji, both are same only, no, Prabhuji. Killing and murdering, and it means living entities. All are living entities. Both are same.
But we make a distinction. No? Murder means human beings. Killing means anything other than humans. No? So they have replaced that word. It was killed for a long time. Maybe in the last 30, 40 years, you can find out when this change was made. They have changed the commandments also. Who authorized them to change the commandments? You tell me. It was thou shalt not kill for a long time. That's what Prabhupada is quoting. But they are coming back to Prabhupada and saying, no, we have corrected it. Who authorized you? See, in the name of religion, please understand how people can be cheated. Yes, they just alter the commandments also. Saying, earlier they translated wrongly. We have corrected it. Somebody translated, who is correct, who is wrong. And they say, our religion is perfect, our scripture is perfect, right? So this is where the problem comes, that you want to justify killing animals, or you want to eat them somehow, and you want to justify. So you want to be religious, at the same time you want to break the law of religion. And they are facilitating who? The leaders of religion, they are facilitating. This is what we should understand. Anyway, it's not that we should argue with Christians, but at least we should know. So Prabhupada replied. So Prabhupada is speaking. So I told him that if the word is actually thou shalt not murder in the original Hebrew language in which it was written, then Jesus must have been preaching to the 4th class, 10th class of men. Do you agree? Prabhupada says, murderers. Only to murderers you have to tell that thou shalt not murder. So that means Jesus was preaching to 10th class people who murder their own fellow men. And they thought it is not sinful. So Jesus had to go to them and tell them, don't murder, it is a sin. So Prabhupada is turning the table on him. If you say thou shalt not kill, then Prabhupada will say, then why you are killing? Then if you say thou shalt not murder, then Prabhupada's reply will be very correctly, if Jesus had to preach that you should not murder fellow beings, then what kind of people were there? Is it necessary to tell someone that you should not murder? Like that. Then Prabhupada says, and then Prabhupada says, they were murderers. And the proof is there that they murdered Jesus Christ. They finally murdered Jesus Christ. So, such people, what can they understand about God? When I told him, the priest was silent. So the priest came with an argument that actually we are allowed to kill, only we should not murder. He came with an argument, but Prabhupada silenced him by saying, what kind of people are they? They are murderers. Correct. So the priest became silent. He could not answer. So another priest came to Prabhupada. Again, the same question came. Prabhupada said, then are you in favor of killing? Prabhupada asked. The priest replied, well, it is a fallen word. Prabhupada said, it is a fallen word. Fallen word. The priest is telling it's a fallen word. So how can we stop killing? So Prabhupada said, it is a fallen word, but we do not have to be among the fallen, Prabhupada says. Once you recognize it's a fallen word, why you should be fallen? The priest cited the covenant with Noah as usual. Prabhupada replied, maybe Noah was allowed at that time because there was scarcity of food, devastation. But that doesn't mean you have to always do it. Why you are taking shelter of that? So like, and Prabhupada said, protect the cows. It is a duty of the Vaishyas. So even though Prabhupada discussed with Christians, but privately he admitted to his disciples, it's a waste of time. They will never agree. Please note these points. Don't waste your time. They will never agree. If someone is showing genuine interest, you can preach. But be watchful. Don't unnecessarily waste your time and make them to commit offenses also. They will never agree, even if they are defeated. This is what Prabhupada says. The best way to preach to people in general was through the chanting of Hare Krishna. If you can make them chant, as at the Rath Yatra festival, everybody is chanting. Chant, dance, take prasadam, invite everyone to join. Anyway, they don't even follow their own teachings. They don't follow the teachings of Jesus Christ. One boy came to me, Prabhupada says, and said he wanted to talk. He said, I am a Christian. But I told him, you are not a Christian. Thou shalt not kill. Prabhupada said, no, you are not a Christian. He said, I am a Christian, I want to talk to you. Prabhupada said, you are not a Christian. You are killing cows. Thou shalt not kill, you are not following. Okay. So I think I will close with this. We'll continue from next week. Amazing things are there. I'm going little slowly because I don't want to skip any of these things. Between now and the end of this book, I don't think I can skip anything anywhere. I'm just trying to make speed with whatever I can, but I really don't want to miss out on anything here. Things are happening so fast at this point of time. Actually, already Satsuru Maharaj has condensed everything. I don't want to condense it any further. So thank you very much, devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Gurudev ki jai.
Jai. Thank you.
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you so much,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
Dandavat pranam.
Dandavat